This is going to be a short video for anybody who is dealing with an energetic blockage, just something that feels stuck, like stuck energy. The movement is to be authentic with how that blockage or that stuckness, or maybe it's a breath constriction, be authentic with how that makes you feel, with your natural response to that. So if you're feeling like, I'll just use my own example. This morning I was feeling some stuckness in my neck, a little blockage there. And my authentic feelings about that were frustration, anger, rage, like just that feeling. And what I did is I just let myself lean into that feeling. I just really I was like growling. I just started growling. I let myself scream. I let that authentic impulse really flow through my body. And it's almost like, let's ask the question, is it because there's stuckness and blockages that we're frustrated and angry? Or is it because there's suppressed anger, rage, and frustration that there's the blockage and the stuckness, right? And it's like they both work together. So if you're feeling anger and rage because there's stuckness, it's probably an indication that you've suppressed anger and rage at some point in your life. And so to lean into the authentic impulse, the authentic feeling there, it will really help that energy to start to flow. It's like you're giving it a voice when you start to like growl or whatever I was doing today. You're really leaning into that natural energy this energy, it just wants to flow. And so if you've got a lot of anger and it's bubbling up and you're feeling, and it feels like there's this block there, like maybe you've been made to feel guilty and ashamed for your anger or your dissent or your dislikes, or maybe you've been told it's wrong to have darker natured thoughts, to have hateful thoughts, or to have rageful thoughts. And if that's the case, then you've suppressed this dimension of your consciousness, of your makeup, of your natural makeup. You've suppressed the natural instinct within you. And so therefore there's an imbalance that's ensued. You have to be in harmony, to be in balance. It's important that we let all of the dimensions of ourselves really flow, really naturally express. And so we all have light natured dimensions and we all have dark natured dimensions. And I know so many of us on the spiritual path, including myself, tend to just cling to the light natured dimensions while trying to deny and suppress the darker natured dimensions within ourselves. But what this does is it just creates an imbalance where we start to feel a sense of powerlessness in our being. We start to feel just kind of overwhelmed. Like anytime you cling to the light, you start to feel kind of attacked by your darkness, right? You start to feel really overwhelmed by it. So it's important that if you have an energetic sensation or a stuck feeling or something that's making you feel a certain way, to lean into that feeling fully, to let yourself really become like this volcano for that feeling. So if there's an intense rage that your neck is stuck, or that there's something in here not letting you breathe, if there's intense rage associated with that, let that rage bubble up and out like a volcano. And what this does, it's like if we have intense rage or hatred or anger, it doesn't mean that we need to go unconsciously project it on something out here. It means that there's a conscious movement of expression of allowing it to flow within you that's being asked for. And the key point is, when these darker natures are coming up to be felt and to be integrated, you're going to have a lot of the darker thoughts. So if you have a lot of hatred you suppressed your whole life, or a lot of rage, and all of a sudden you start leaning into it and letting yourself be that volcano for those feelings to authentically flow so that you can come back into a balance, a harmony, and a sense of wholeness, what you'll notice is the thoughts you're having while this is happening are going to be the same flavor of the feeling. So you might start having a lot of hateful thoughts, rageful thoughts, lustful thoughts. Sexuality is another one we've been really shamed into suppressing. especially the darker elements of our sexuality. So you might have really dark sexual, lustful thoughts coming up. You might have really dark hatred thoughts, rageful thoughts. It's important to know to let those thoughts be there. You don't have to unconsciously identify with them. This is how the pendulum starts to swing back into balance. If you're an overly light-natured person and you're feeling powerless, you're kind of feeling helpless, like a point of exploitation if you are experiencing abuse in your life. If you have a victim mindset, it's allowing all of the darker natured impulses and feelings within you to come up. Now, the way people swing too far to the other side and become imbalanced in their dark nature, in their hatred, in their rage, is they believe all the thoughts. They identify with all the thoughts. And then they swing into an imbalance into dark nature. And it's not like one imbalance is worse than the other. They're both just an imbalance. So whether if you're feeling, overwhelmed with, powerlessness and stuff like that, it's just and a good way to feel where you're at with your balance is, what is your external reality reflecting to you? Your external reality is going to be a great mirror to show you if you're in balance, if you're in wholeness. So I just wanted to make this video to give you guys permission to lean into your authentic feelings with whatever ascension symptom, awakening symptom is arising. Because that's the point of the symptom. It's to shine a light on some darkness that you've been unwilling to feel in your life for whatever reason. Maybe you got really scolded at school one day for being authentic in your authentic nature, in your authentic darkness. Maybe you had parents that never let you be disagreeable or never let you really show your anger. So then as you grow up, you start questioning your own instincts. And you have no real clarity about who you are because you've been suppressing natural feelings because you've tried to be like the good boy or the good girl your whole life. And so your whole life you just kind of go along trying to be something for other people, and that's a big indication that you've cut yourself off from your power, your individuality. And that means there's probably a lot of darker energies, more of your darker nature that really wants to come forward right now. And to know if you're watching this, you have the awareness now. Just the fact that you're watching a video like this shows that you have the awareness to allow your darker natures to come forward without being lost to them, without being overly identified with them, without going out and projecting them on others. You have the awareness now to just open to them in your body and to feel them fully. If it's rage, maybe you start shaking. Fear is also a big one too that you might really need to open to. So many of us that cling to the light nature, we have such anxiety problems, social anxiety, etc. And this is because we hate to feel fear. And fear is a darker natured energy that needs to be integrated if we want to live in wholeness. If we want to feel this sense of just like sturdiness in our being, this sense of everything is just fine, like you're really rooted in your power. And then you start having less problems with the external. Like if you have social anxiety, if you have bad anxiety problems, if you have panic attacks, the more you really authentically open and let these feelings come up in you and let these feelings arise in their fullest intensity without believing all the thoughts that come with it, the less that you have issues with communicating with people, the more you experience financial stability, the more there's just a sense of stability in your reality. And this is because you've integrated your yin and yang energies. They've both had a chance to come up and integrate. And for a while, as you're releasing these darker energies that you've been so afraid of feeling, or maybe guilty to feel. I know we tend to start to feel guilty if there's rage there or anger. And you might actually start feeling your anger and your rage, and it might start actually feeling really good. And then this sense of guilt will come up like, oh, I'm not supposed to feel anger. I've been taught that it's bad to feel anger. So just let go of that old program and be real and let yourself really churn towards the feelings of anger and rage, hatred, any feelings that are there that have been suppressed, that need to come up and be integrated. One of the things that might happen is you might start to feel you might start to feel really strong darkness for a while. And this is normal because as you turn towards it, it's like wow, there's a lot there. You know, as you finally turn towards your rage that you've suppressed for however long, you realize, oh wow, there's a lot of rage there that needs to be felt. There's a lot of hatred there that needs to be felt that I suppressed. And so for a while, as this release is taking place, you might feel just torrents, currents of darker natured energy coming up in your being. And this is okay. This is a great sign. This is a sign of a massive release happening. You might feel all kinds of discomfort and agitation in your chakra centers. This is because your chakra centers are purging. They're going through a great clearing period. You're finally letting all of these darker emotions and energies come up into the light to be integrated. And you're going to start feeling it in your reality pretty quickly. You're going to start feeling this sense of wholeness, of real power, of more of this just natural comfort. You're going to start to feel more at home in your body and on earth. When we start suppressing our dark nature, we tend to start feeling not at home in our body and like not at home on planet Earth. That's because planet Earth is a perfect mix of light and dark. So if we're suppressing half of ourself here, if we're suppressing the darkness within ourself, well, life's going to really beat us up for a while, because living on this reality on planet Earth is this beautiful opportunity to balance both light and dark. And when we do that, our reality starts reflecting that to us. We start to feel it in our body. We start to feel this sense of completeness, of wholeness. And of course, our external is a beautiful mirror. It's a perfect mirror for us to learn from. So if you're not feeling that wholeness within, you're going to be having that external reflection. And it's just a beautiful growth indicator. It's not anything to get too caught up in. It's just like a wake-up call. Is there some darkness here that needs to be felt, that needs to be integrated? And any type of symptoms, blockages, breath constriction, pressure, it's just always an indicator that there's a balance that wants to be restored in your being. So I hope that this video was helpful and gives you guys the permission to really lean into aspects of yourself that you might have learned through conditioning to suppress. And if you're feeling powerless, I hope that this video helps you to turn towards those darker emotions so that they can come up and be integrated, so that you can start feeling a greater sense of power that's always here within you, that's always available to you. So that's the teaching for today. I love you all so much. Namaste.